Good morning. Welcome to Northwest Fencing Center's coaching series. I'm Coach Michael McTigue, and today we're going to be talking about the power of hooking up on strip. This is a video that is a little bit Armory, a little bit competition, a little bit psychology, and it's for every level of fencer. Whether you're a beginning fencer all the way through most experienced vet, you may be able to find something in this video that's of use to you. Now, we're going to start with the basics, simply hooking up on strip itself. It's something that new fencers struggle with all the time, and sometimes you might find yourself later on in your fencing career with an injury, an injured hand or something on your off fencing side that makes it difficult to hook up. But there are some pretty simple things to work through every time you hook up. And the idea is to have a repeatable process, and that's going to become very important in just a few moments. Now, that's why I've got my competition jacket on and mask and my weapon. You'll notice I have my body cord on. And I'm also going to do I also have a helmet cord here, even though I'm not suited up as a foil fencer. It's the only thing that would be different for a foil fencer in hooking up. Now, most common mistake people make is they try and hold everything while they're hooking up. We're fencers, we're not jugglers. So part of my repeatable process when I hook up is I come to the strip, I have my weapon, it's not hooked up to my hand, I have my mask in my other hand, and I simply put them down. Now I'm going to hook up the back end first. So I'm going to take my body cord where it comes out, I'm going to take the reel, I'm going to plug it in, make sure the latch is closed. I'm going to walk in a little closer so you can see this better. And then I'm going to take my catch in my left hand. I'm going to turn around. I'm going to put it inside the D-ring and snap it on. Now, I've been doing this for a long time, and I have adult-sized hands. So sometimes someone with weaker hands or smaller hands has difficulty with this small clip. Here's your solution. A carabiner. You can get a cheap, inexpensive carabiner at the checkout counter of the hardware store, key ring style. It doesn't have to be something that's super strong, not climbing quality. Now, if you put that onto that ring, you now have a nice, big, easy to use piece that makes hooking onto your jacket easier. And you can simply leave it on your jacket and hook up to it instead of the D-ring too, because it moves it out away from your jacket so you can actually see it. Some of the smaller kids chain together 2 or even 3 of these so that they can have an easier time hooking up. So, step 1, hook up at the back end. Step 2, hook up on the front end. And if you're an epee fencer, you are now ready to go have your weapon tested in the competition. Simply pick your mask up and go. Now, if you're a foil fencer, you're still all set to go ahead and get your weapon checked. But then you're going to want to take your mask cord and clip it on so that you're now all set, ready to test with the other fencer. Put your mask on, salute, come on guard, and fence. Unhooking is the opposite. You come back to the end of the strip, you can take your mask off, unhook your mask cord, unhook from the back end, and you can just walk off at that point. Now, how can we take this thing, which is on autopilot for a lot of us more experienced fencers, and kind of a pain for some of us younger fencers, and turn it into something that can give us great power? Something that can help us fence better when we're going out, whether it's in a practice or a competition. How can we use this? Well, this is where we get into the power of ritual. This is where we can use this process to help bring our brain into competition mode. Now, everybody's seen fencers. Some of them are very calm and you never know what they're thinking, and other ones are hollering and yelling when they're making touches, and everything in between. But everybody has this certain level of excitement that they need to get to in order to fence well. If it's too low, You're sluggish. You don't really get up to speed. You maybe lose a bunch of points before you finally get into the groove. If you are the type of fencer who's is hyped up a lot of the time, that takes a lot of energy. Regardless of what that level of excitement and energy you need when you go onto the strip, regardless of what it is, you cannot sustain that level minute by minute for the entire 3 to 12 hours that a tournament might take. It's not possible to stay at that level of focus, concentration, and excitement for that period of time. It takes too much energy. And your energy has to be split between thinking and actually moving. So, how can we use this to our advantage? We can come up with a ritual of hooking up that is a repeatable process at each time, something that helps us bring ourselves up to the level that we need to get to begin to fence well and about, and then to decompress slightly at the end of the bout to allow us to come back down to a more moderate level, knowing full well that we can come back up to that level we need the next time we hook up. And this is where that power of ritual comes in. Now, I'm going to give you an example simply of how I use this to hook up and get ready for a bout and to begin to focus. I always come up to the strip, and if it's a tournament where I've put my weapons and my body cords aside, that's all stuff that's done. Then I walk over to the strip by the box, put these two down, I hook up at the back end, I hook up at the front end. I check tip screws. Even though I checked them when I came off the strip, I hit my foot to make sure the weapon works. I pick my mask up. I walk up to the on-guard line, I put my mask down. I take my weapon, grab it like this, and I give it to the referee, and he tests my weapon. I get it back. I adjust my cord, pick up my mask. I test bells with the other fencer. When they're all done and they're ready, I come back to my guard line. I get down on guard. I put my mask on. And I use a mental picture where I pump my grip like you're pumping the blood pressure cuff. I squeeze it 3 times with 3 little quick exhales. And that brings me up. When the direct referee says, ready, I say, ready, sir, or ready, ma'am, or simply just ready, ready. And that's the last piece of the SWIP. Each time I'm going through each of those steps, I'm narrowing down my focus more and more and more to the moment at hand and the weapon and fencing. All right? Each thing. Ready. And when I say ready, I am ready. Now, I maintain that. I come back to the strip in between touches. You may have strategies in between touches that you'll use to help yourself refocus. We can talk about those some of those in a later piece. But at the moment, we're talking about what we do at the beginning of the bout and hooking up, and we're going to talk about at the end of the bout. So now we've gone ahead. We've gone through our bout. Hopefully, we've won. At the very least, we want to have fenced our best and been focused all the way through. If you get beat by somebody who's fencing really well, and you were fencing well as well, there you go. That was a lot of wells. Anyway, at the end of the bout, I come back to the end of the strip. I unhook at the back end. Pull my cord out. If the other fencer has come up and they're ready, I hand it off to them. If they're not, I put the cord back. But I do one thing when they're coming back. When I hand that cord off or I put it back in the box, I go and I let the air out of the balloon. That helps me calm back down, helps me bring me back down. I grab my stuff, I go back, I check my tip screws, make sure everything's okay, sit down, have a sip of water, start to concentrate on the next bout. So I have a repeatable process when I come up. Weapon on the ground, mask on the ground. Hook up at the rear, hook up at the front. Weapon is tested, back bell guard is tested, back to the guard line, pumping the grip 3 times to bring the pressure up, saying I'm ready, and fencing. At the end, coming back, unhooking the end, and letting the air out of the balloon to bring myself back down to a calm state in between bouts so that I can focus. And I know that the next time I go back up, I will have exactly the same process. And I will be able to bring myself back up to that level of focus and energy that I need for that bout. So that's where we get into the power of ritual. You can have small rituals all throughout that you can follow that help you focus your mind. People from outside will look at them and they'll think of them as superstitions. It's not a superstition. A superstition is something that someone who feels they have no control over a situation choose to think helps them have some control. This is something concrete that does give you control. This is a ritual that you're using to psychologically focus yourself for the bout. So again, repeatable process at the beginning to bring your energy level up, and a repeatable process at the end to reduce the stress back down to a moderate level in between bouts. And in the process, you've also learned how to hook up without looking like an idiot. Because for a young fencer in a new situation, you're juggling, you're dropping stuff, you're hooking up, it's making you get all flustered. You're getting worried. Things aren't going well already, and I haven't even had my weapon tested yet. Plus, the other fencers just like, they hook up and they're watching you down there fumbling away, and they're starting to feel pretty confident. They shouldn't, but they probably would. So if you have this repeatable process, again, you're centered, you're concentrating on your things, you're even looking good doing it, which may or may not have an effect on the other fencer, not something we have control over, but repeatable process, focusing for the bout, reducing your level of energy, calm in between bouts, knowing that process will be repeated again. That's it for today's session. It's a short one, but an important one. I recommend you practice, come up with your own practice, your own little ritual at the end of the strip, and do it every single time, even at practices. This is Coach McTigue, Northwest Fencing Center. Thanks for coming.